we'll go in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our usual Sunday afternoon kitchen table talk. With me, as usual, is the panel. How's it going, everybody? And we're done Christmas. We're barreling into 2026. Silver has, what is it? It's almost $80 a US dollar now for an ounce of silver. And people are predicting $150 silver by, well, there's a pathway to $150 silver because the COMEX markets are empty. What's his face? Greg and the Dominion Society, Daniel, Tyree, and a whole bunch of people were having an interesting conversation that Max watched regarding remigration.
I got halfway through. I got like around halfway through. I didn't finish it all, but it did become a screaming match in some points. So always.
How long is it?
Like 2 hours, maybe 2.5.
Yeah, 2 hours. That's a long time. That's a long time.
2 times speed, baby. 2 times speed.
That's true.
I watched the whole thing. It was awesome.
Just 2.5.
Yeah, they were going back and forth. There disagreements, but everything was calm. But there was things that had to be aired out with certain people there. It was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's a good watch. Watch the whole thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely it's on my list of things to watch. Although I don't think it's on my website list of things to watch yet. I scrolled by and I saw Truth Seeker and she blocked me. And so when she was talking, I was like, oh, and so that was the clip I saw. She was like talking about something in an animated way. And I just kept scrolling. I was like, I'm interested in watching this. And I was like, oh, actually, I'm not that interested in watching this right now. Yeah. So
animated as in hysterical?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, she's got a lot of different views too.
She lives in the States, right? She's like moved to the States. Yeah. Full time.
She's also a woman too, which doesn't help things.
Max.
She's awesome.
I hear she's good.
The way it is, man. She says it the way it is.
Sure, yeah, but yes and no. But at the same time, and I mean, I don't mean to I'm not trying to rag on people because she's not here to defend herself. So I mean, maybe it's me. It's probably me. But I tried to engage in a conversation with her, and she went down a couple of different rabbit holes that I hadn't mentioned. And instead of engaging with what I was talking about, she went off in a different direction. And then I pushed back on the direction that she went down, and then she blocked me. And then she blocked me by quote tweeting me and saying like, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And then like something else talking about me being an idiot. And then I couldn't respond to her. And I was like,
it sounds like it was you. Yes,
people block you. Like, why? Yeah, you're having a conversation.
It gets nowhere constructively.
I don't know.
Agree.
I don't have time for it.
What I found weird about the debate is that whenever somebody brought up legitimate critiques of like Israel and how their lobbies are involved in major governments around the world, it was like just like clear deflection away from that, when that's clearly an issue. If we look at the States, where like both the left and the right team are getting massive funding from like groups like AIPAC, and where they have tons of power in these parties, and if that's happening in the States, that's obviously happening here and many other countries. But if somebody brings it up, you are an anti-Semite, and that's an issue. Yeah. That's why I know we talked about it a bit in the green room, but like Nick Fuentes has been going hard against JD Vance because he has ties to like Peter Thiel and the Palantir surveillance like apparatus, which is also funny that like that the like surveillance company is named Palantir. If anybody knows where like the word Palantir comes from, it's very funny, which I can tell you all about it if you're interested.
Please, yeah.
Well,
it comes from Lord of the Rings.
It comes no,
it's Lord of the Rings.
And what it was is they're supposed to like. They wanted information about the Domain Society, but it was getting off a topic here and there.
Yeah,
it wasn't, and that's what they were supposed to go through is their 10 points of the Domain Society. They started 5 months ago, and Greg, I guess he's part of that now.
He's a board member and one of the founding members. Yeah,
they're supposed to conversate about the 10 points, but I don't think they got the 10 points out there, just a few things, because it was all over the place.
It's hard to have a conversation like that. And just getting back to Max, so Palantir was in Lord of the Rings. It was what, the Eye of Sauron?
So no, so what the Palantir is in Lord of the Rings. Have you ever watched Lord of the Rings, Mark, or have you seen like clips of it? You know the like spear that like Saruman uses to like communicate with like Sauron in Barad-dûr. Yep. That is a Palantir. It is the seeing stones of like the kingdom of Gondor.
Oh, okay.
And in the books it was used to corrupt the mind of of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. So it's like naming, oh yeah, I'm a good guy, and I'm naming my like country Mordor. That's a great start, guys.
Interesting.
The other, I'm not trusting a surveillance company with that name.
Yeah, for real. It's a good point. The other thing that the Palantir stuff makes me think about, and all of the like the references in pop culture, right? Like Lord of the Rings, the Batman thing, where in the Dark Knight was it the Dark Knight that they use the echolocation in everybody's phone, and he turns it on and he just writes it. It seems like that. It's all kind of part and parcel of that. But I want to get back to you were saying that Nick Fuentes goes after JD Vance because of his connections to Palantir, and I agree with all of that. And anytime that anybody said, or you were saying that anytime anybody talked about the connections to lobby groups, Jewish lobby groups, or any other lobby groups, but mostly like Jewish lobby groups, AIPAC, then the conversation would be redirected. And the redirection was to Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes, and some people know about who Nick Fuentes is on the panel here, but not everybody. And so Nick Fuentes can be a controversial figure because he pulls no punches when he's going after certain groups that are seen as sacred cows. You're not allowed to go after those groups. You're not allowed to question those groups. If you question those groups, you might be Islamophobic, Semitic, or something like that. And so it's super interesting how there are certain conversations that I think are really, really important to have. And we are unable to have those conversations because if you start to have those conversations, you get derailed by people who are gatekeeping, and then they use other people.
What I find funny about that on the right is if you mention, like, saying Canada, if you mention like whether it's Chinese lobby groups or like Chinese police operating in Canada, yeah, you're fine. That's not you don't hate the Chinese. But whenever I raise a question about like Israeli lobbies operating in Canada, like
all of a sudden,
like lobbying politicians and businesses and like Pierre Poilievre just lighting the like menorah instead of, with him being a like Christian, isn't that him like worshiping false idols? Then why am I called an anti-Semite when I bring that up?
Yeah, and it's an interesting strategy as well, because not only are you a problem and your anti-Semitism is a problem and talking about this at all is a problem, but also aren't you, and you were mentioning that they brought up the Goipers, who are the people who support Nick Fuentes, something like that. And
I'm not even like a Nick Fuentes. Like
no, I'm not, and I'm not trying to
suspect things about him.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that you are. I just find it interesting that this sin of, what is it when you sin of association, right? So it's like, hold on a second. You can't ask those questions. This other guy named Nick Fuentes asks those questions and everybody hates him and he's an anti-Semite and he's racist and you're racist just like him for asking the same questions. It's like, hold on a second though. Maybe his questions.
Water too.
Maybe right, exactly. Doesn't he put pants on? I'm wearing pants. Oh, I'm exactly the same as Nick Fuentes. We wear pants, right? And so it's like, holy shit, man! Like these questions are actually legitimate, and you're using the association of Nick Fuentes to poison the well. And isn't that weird? Like, isn't that noticeable and notable and weird? And that's what I look at these things and I'm like, man, I've got a question about. Like why we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, which we could talk about too. I've got a question about that, and they're like, "Oh, you Putin apologist! How dare you? Putin wears hoodies too." It's like
that. I think is important to recognize that like Fuentes represents the like majority of young men who, for the past 20 years, have been told they are racist, sexist, and evil, and like someone like Nick is like the like end result of that. Someone who doesn't care, someone who doesn't pull punches.
He's like, okay, sure am.
Somebody. Who like isn't like, for example, afraid of making a joke that like saying, "Oi, me like mom died in the holly." Like young people don't care about that anymore. They just don't. And he's the ultimate representation of Gen Z, of like the like right wing.
Yep.
Which is what I find funny that nobody in like the like establishment right wants to accept, because like in the past year, Ben Shapiro has been nuked from orbit.
He nuked himself from orbit.
Yeah,
unbelievable stuff.
What a retard!
Unbelievable stuff. And like getting on the stage at Turning Point USA, and I don't know whatever happened to Turning Point USA, but it looks like it's wearing an Edgar suit.
Nicki Minaj is there. I remember what like Charlie Kirk said about Nicki Minaj.
I've seen the videos.
Does nobody else?
And like the same thing, the same pattern is almost recognizable if you talk about the AIPAC. Or Zog or anything like that, you get it's the same pattern. If you're like, Charlie Kirk's murder seems really weird. You know, it
Also,
seems super weird when
we've
they
all
shot
seen
at
the,
Trump.
interview of him interviewing Ben Shapiro, and he's like, "Well, Ben, you like Jews do own the media," and Ben Shapiro did like the eyebrow raise, and then the next
saw
few
that.
days, bam,
Done. You're done. You what? They do own the media, really? So yeah, right. And I got a message from Twitter, X now, saying that I was being hateful when I was chatting with Amazing Polly about how there is exactly what you just said. The control of the media is apparent. And I wasn't even being like, those darn groups that control the media. I wasn't even saying that. I was just saying as a fact, like matter of factly. And they were like, this is hateful.
It's not even just the media.
Like, it's not
like,
hateful.
Look at Hollywood. Who owns all porn sites? Who owns all the banks?
OnlyFans?
Like, I'm just noticing patterns.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm noticing patterns.
Yep.
But that makes me an anti-Semite. Okay, I guess.
Right. And we're not allowed to ask questions about it. And it's super duper weird. And they use the same strategy to shut you down if you're asking about billions to Ukraine, or if you're asking about influence, foreign influence, Chinese foreign influence. You're allowed to cook a little bit on that. Like look at Sam Cooper, right? Yeah. And some other stuff. But if you start cooking on our greatest ally, or the United States' greatest ally, because Canada doesn't really matter, then, buddy, then you will be cooked.
like I don't know if people I don't know if anybody watches this has an issue with me bringing up. I feel like Israel almost every episode, but things like the fact we can't question this is certainly an issue. It makes me want to bring it up even more. And the fact that people on the right wing are so scared to bring it up. Look at all these conservative commentators in Canada. Nobody's asking questions about you lose that cred.
The reason. So like the reason that I am not popular, one of the many reasons that I'm not popular, is because I don't pull punches when I talk about things that I'm talking about, like like APAC and you're on the show here talking about things, right? And if you do that, if you're like, if you're in the club and you're doing interviews with Pierre Poilievre,
if you're like Jasmine Lane, you are not getting another. You're
not going to say that's right. You're not going to say, "Why'd you hide Andrew Scheer behind the curtain, sir? Can you explain that to everybody?" You're not saying that. You're not going to the sacred cows. You're not asking how much Israeli influence. Like, how many times have you been to Israel on a junket, sir? Like, you're not asking.
Frankly, I think if you are a political commentator, I'll use the like example of in Canada. If you are a political commentator on mostly YouTube and you have the ability to meet with parliamentarians, PMs, opposition leaders, you are one of two things. You are bought and paid for, or like you're a mark. You're like an easy mark who will just go along with whatever the main narrative is. Because look at all, for example, all these, I would like to bring up the conservative YouTube personalities on the right in Canada, but these guys were not around during COVID. Like, you were around during COVID. Greg was, Jeremy Mackenzie was, but none of you guys are getting interviews with actual politicians. Everyone in the conservative YouTube media is a safe alternative and someone who won't really rock the boat. Yeah. And just an example of this, I thought about it earlier in today. Why is think about it from you think Canada is all fine and dandy, sunshine and rainbows. It's more acceptable for somebody on the right to be an Alberta separatist than they are to be a supporter of the PPC. Why is that? Does nobody else find that a little funny? From if you're a conservative, someone who backs the CPC, if you're an Alberta separatist, they have no problem with you. But if you're a member of the PPC or Maxime Bernier and realize that Maxime Bernier has been ahead of the curve on a lot of issues, why are you the problem? Which is something that I find funny, which nobody wants to bring up as well.
Yep. Well, it's all about censorship. The censorship machine has neutered the People's Party, and so that's why the People's Party get attacked. It's the same MO as I think I was talking about it on my show today. Like, if you have a Trump-like figure, they will attack you and take you down and make it seem like your position is not viable, and in that way they'll demoralize your supporters,
or they'll just make you shoot yourself in the foot, like say Dallas Brody, or they'll just do that.
I think Dallas Brody shot herself in the. She hired Wyatt.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
she came out as a Zionist.
That's what I mean. Or she'll just let them destroy themselves. Why make a move when your enemy is doing everything wrong?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
I agree. it's hard to chart a course out of where we are, because all of the courses out of where we are require conversations about the things we're talking about with people who can make changes, and they don't want to make changes because they don't work for us, right? Like, so we have to go through this gate, and this gate is, we have to talk about AIPCA, or the APAC, the influence of foreign governments, China, Israel, all of these other places. We have to discuss these things. But if we get close to that, we get smacked down, the people who are spearheading it. And then
you are called the woke right, which is complete bullshit to prevent actual conversation from happening.
Yes, don't get me started about woke right. Woke right is designed in order to gatekeep. And so, like, if you get close to those things, not only do you personally get your reputation destroyed, but everybody else gets a viable story to walk away from all of the things that you're pointing out. And you may have evidence for all the things you're pointing out, but the people who are following you will never see that evidence. And that's the censorship regime that they've built and they're rolling out already. And so, yeah, it's very insidious, and it keeps us locked in the wizard circle form. Like, we're unable to discuss these things, so we're unable to identify the problem, so we're unable to solve the problem, so we stay in that wizard circle of the problem forever. And they say, well, we tried this, we tried to solve this problem this way, and it didn't work, and that's obviously the fault of you guys are trying to do something that's impossible. And it's like, well, we used to be able to have an immigration program that people were supportive of and worked pretty well. And now we can't. And it's not because we don't know how, it's because bad policy is preventing us from actually doing it. But they'll say, oh, well, that policy before, when it worked, that was racist. And now we're not racist. And it's like, oof.
And like a thing about that, we're seeing that exact playbook roll out in Alberta now. Just this week, yes. Jeff Rath and Keith Wilson were going back and forth on Twitter. And I think I don't know if it's true, but I think eventually you're going to see some separatist candidate propped up by the feds to make everyone look crazy.
Yes. Yeah, we're already seeing it. They're trying to make Jeffrey Rath look crazy.
Because there's already a split coming in Danielle Smith's party. Yep. There's multiple splits coming off of every conservative in Alberta to because everyone wants to rule the world, whether intentionally or backed by some other power. Yeah. And we're already, and this is why I don't think really Alberta separatism is going to amount to anything, because there'll just be infighting, and people will, and because I think if anyone should lead the movement, it should be Jeff Rath, because he's actually done the most to convince normies.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I don't know if that's really going to matter.
6 weeks.
No, I don't think there's infighting. It's not infighting. It's just Alberta's going to separate. The question's going to happen. Oh, it is. It's already on January 2nd. They can start getting the signatures.
Yeah.
So they can get the signatures. They've already got over 500,000.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
it's popular on their website. Yeah. And they're hoping to get. Well, they're thinking over 1 million. Mm-hmm. And the question's going to happen. They've already said the question can go through. So that's going to happen. The referendum is going to happen in October.
This is going to be like Brexit. This is going to be like Brexit. They're going to do their best. They're going to say, they're going to say, they don't want, listen, 6 months before Brexit, Trump hadn't been elected yet. Brexit happened, and then Trump happened, right? So 6 months before Brexit, I was not sure that it was going to pass, because elections are rigged. They're rigged. And the powers that be say whatever they have to say in the media. And you can go back and look at the 2014, 2015 Brexit coverage. They were saying there's no way. You remember? They were like, there's no way it's going to happen. We're never going to leave the EU. The EU is really solid, blah, 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 blah. And so at that point in time, when I was looking at it, I was like, ooh, this looks real dicey. I don't know if this Brexit thing is going to happen. And I think that the same thing is going to happen, because the powers that be in Canada are the same powers that be that didn't want Brexit to happen, but they've got a much more entrenched confederation thing behind them, because Brexit the euro just happened in 99, right? 99, 2000. That's when the euro was created, or the Eurozone. And so Canada's older than that. And so they think this can't happen. We're not going to let that happen. So I think that you're right, because Trump's screwing things up for them, for the powers that be. The silver price is going through the roof. Global trade has been reset, and
well,
so
Jeff
I think
Rath,
I think
this
that the
came from the
powers that be
US.
are losing control, and so
Yeah.
now I'm saying that this maybe this Alberta thing might happen, but they're going to do everything they can to prevent it. I hope that Alberta is able to separate and self-govern. That's what I want. But as a
Jeff
pundit,
Rath
I'm just
came
looking at it.
back from the U.S. a couple weeks
If it
ago.
does happen, Danielle Smith
And
might just
he,
kiss the wall
he
too.
already made a deal saying that yes, the U.S. wants a pipeline down there.
Yep.
Plus, the U.S. is going to get they offered to give $500 billion loan if Alberta separates. So then we have money at the table, and so everything's going forward. The signatures are going forward. The referendum is going to happen, but also I look at it this way too. The Club of Rome, they want a one world government. They want the 10 sections of the whole globe. And so you get Canada, US, you got Mexico. They want their whole world government. And if this is what it looks like, to make it the illusion that the people are doing this so they can get their one world government, I'm thinking they might let it go through. So if Alberta separates, Saskatchewan, Quebec,
Part of BC.
Yeah, BC, they start making these sections, making the one world government that they want. Is this how they're gonna do it? Like I'm just saying maybe that's how they're gonna do it. Maybe
the North American bloc is a Club of Rome stretch goal. They want to have the United States, Canada, and I think even Greenland was included in that group.
Greenland too, yeah. Greenland, Canada, US,
and Trump's doing it. And so, like,
yeah.
I agree with you on one. I agree with you that the Alberta separation could happen. And if the Alberta separation happens, then they become a de facto U.S. Well, a de facto, especially if they're putting a pipeline through the U.S.
A left-leaning
we're going to be our own
administration
state.
sending in the CIA to destabilize things.
We're going to be our own country, our own territory.
No, well, I know
state.
for a period of time. Yeah, for a period of time. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to suss out like what's the long term, because like if Alberta goes and is in an independent state, let's say, and takes a $500 billion loan from the United States and puts a pipeline into the United States, I would argue that is that's commitment. You know, like you buy a house with a girl. You're not married to the girl, but you've committed to this girl. You got bought a house with the girl.
Not just for a pipeline.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm saying there's a commitment. There's like, I'm going to scratch your back and you're going to, be a 51st state eventually. And then
when Alberta separates, they're gonna notice us. They're gonna say yes, they are their own state. They're their own place.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Here's a $500 billion loan.
Predatory.
So you can start getting things organized. Yeah. And we might use US dollars. Who knows?
That'd be crazy.
Haven't we lived through a couple of these Quebec referendums? They can't get it passed. Alberta's going to get 49.5% or 49.9%. They're not going to get their 51.1%.
We've already had an example.
It's not the vote that counts. It's who counts the votes.
Referendum. Yeah. Alberta's had a referendum on transfer payments. When that retard freaking Penny was in. We had a referendum, and 67% of the people
nothing
voted.
Happened. Nothing ever happens.
To pay the transfer payments. So we're using that as an example of, hey, I think we got the vote.
Maybe. Okay. Steve has had his hand up for a while. We got to move on. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Max. Steve.
Sorry for getting that going, boys.
No, it's all good. It's a good conversation.
No, it's all good, Max. Your input's always great. I bring it down to a municipal level of attack. You know how, Mark, you say municipal, provincial, federal, and you look at all these little, like MPs that get attacked and pushed out and shut down. Well, it's even in the construction industry. Guys show up and we're building like all these new condos and new Canadians, and I don't see a white person there. All of a sudden, all these construction guys building a new condo complex that I'm a part of. We all get tickets all of a sudden because these municipal goofs and these people have decided that that's kind of nice, noisy next to my house. And I'm thinking, your house is totally subsidized by our government, and we're building more condos right next to you, and you knew that. And now all the workers get parking tickets.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of, it's this weird attack, and you're thinking, do you see how I'm correlating the two? Like, the municipality lets that go on. We're building homes for you. How come we're being punished and ticketed, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, there's no signs up or anything. And you know, yeah, there's transports and concrete trucks, and well, you know, we signed on for that. I'm pretty sure we paid for that lease space and everything.
Yeah.
But no, it's all these new Canadians that are complaining, and now all of a sudden the people building these homes are getting tickets.
Yeah.
Do you see how the trickle down is just insulting? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to tie it in. It's
Yeah.
like a microcosm, but you see it, and it's irritating and nasty.
Yeah.
It's bad pool, man.
We were at a baseball tournament with kids. My nephew were playing in the tournament, and we parked in an area that looked like you could park. There was all sorts of people parked there, and by the end of the game that we were there to watch, everybody had $45 tickets, and I was like, and it's just like this. Oh, welcome to the community. We're gonna slap you down. You know, we're gonna make all this money off of this tournament, and it's like, you're preying on people, and you're not. Yeah, it's dirty pool, right?
It sickens us. It sickens us, man. We're out there working all day, -20, and these people have their brand new cars, and you know, not one of them. You know, it's all subsidized, and you're thinking, man, we build this shit for you, and you give us tickets. Holy.
Yeah, for real. Thanks, Steve. MC, you're muted. You're muted. Muted. All good. Boom.
Sorry, wrong thing. Just to clarify something for me. The U.S. is going to give us a $500 million or $1 billion loan if we separate.
It's 500 billion.
500 million doesn't go anywhere, man. If you can't even buy groceries with that now.
The people that have been selling this Alberta independence idea, selling it mostly on the basis, which makes sense, of how rich we're going to be when we don't get bled dry by Ottawa. And the first thing these people want to do is go get us $500 billion in national debt. I can't think of a freaking stupider, like Canada's national debt about 8 years ago was about $560 billion or something like that. Like, I can't think of a stupider idea than taking a $500 billion.
Well, we don't have to take it. It's just that we have leverage. So when we do separate, we can go to the provinces and say, okay, we'll do business with you. And then and we can do business with you. This is what it's going to cost for our product going out to your provinces.
We don't
have to take it. We have enough
that's what
oil and everything like that. We don't need the 500 billion, but we have that leverage going to the provinces, going to making business transactions with whoever.
So if we don't need it and we don't have to take it, why mention it? What is the point? Like, is it just to rope in the idiots so that idiots will support the idea and then like, hey, wait a minute, where's the big fat debt you were going to enslave us with?
We're serious, man. We're serious about doing this.
No, I just don't understand. Like, I want to paraphrase what MC's saying. Basically, everything I read up till now is that Alberta will be solvent and able to deal with its own financial commitments without any kind of any kind of external. So I don't understand. Alberta has leverage. The leverage is we've got all this oil, we've got all this, like, we're rich. And
but
so,
that's just another, like, it's another arrow. You have another. You have more.
To me, it seems like
you're having the U.S. say they're going to approve Alberta. Well, they're approving that. we identify that Alberta is its own now.
All the U.S. has to do is recognize Alberta as an independent state. It doesn't have to give it $500 billion. I like MC, the money makes me wonder what else is happening.
But you have more, it's better.
Is it better? Right?
Yeah.
If you have a business and then somebody comes in and says, I'm going to give you $500 billion, and you're like, okay. And then the guy said, and then you're like, I'm going to do this with my business. And the guy who just gave you $500 billion says no.
Not give.
Loan, yes, loan. Right.
Mhm.
It's not $500 billion
gift. I'm all in favor of a $500 billion loan. Like, I'm not taking out a loan because then I have to pay interest on that debt.
Yep.
Right. In my household.
Yep. So I just question that. And I think MC rightly questions it too. So yeah, and I mean, like,
well, no, that's fine. You guys can question. I'm just trying to explain that, more, I think more is better. More leverage. Why not?
Because it gives the United States leverage over Alberta.
Well,
yeah, that's the problem with it. The more we use it, the more leveraged we are to somebody else.
Yeah.
One slave
Yeah,
master for another.
well, U.S. is going to be a huge business partner with Alberta as soon as we separate.
Sure.
Like it's going to be what the APP is talking about is, we're going to have like zero. It's going to be zero tariffs. It's just going to be free trade straight across. Alberta's talking about no taxes for nobody because we can do that with our own oil and gas, and nobody's going to have to pay taxes or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that we're going to take the 500 billion. I'm just saying that no, that's good. Like I don't know. I think more is good. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think we'd not be paying taxes for very long if we owed interest on $500 billion. Like we just wouldn't.
I think we can pay that off, no problem. With our resources.
Alberta separation, I've said this before, doesn't make much difference if you maintain the Alberta provincial government structure that exists now. If Alberta Health Services still exists and the Department of Education still exists and they're not massively purged and reformed, right? As long as you keep the big government,
exactly,
and then it doesn't matter if we separate or not because our institutions are owned by the globalists, and you got to go through all the provincial courts and fire those assholes, and like.
Yeah, so we got to get rid of the little Canada here in Alberta too. We got to start
all of that bureaucracy
right from scratch.
Yeah, and I mean, like
constitution, everything. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you'd need to, and almost even, I believe that the structure of government is sound, like the Westminster system. That's probably sound, but it's probably antiquated. But you could use it if you removed absolutely everybody involved now. And I'm talking like everybody, like all the way down to pages, all the bureaucrats, everybody involved now, and replace them with people. You might be able to salvage the system. But I think it would probably be better if Alberta does become independent to take another system that is good and has less corruption or has built-in like protections on the corruption, because the amount of corruption, I mean, changing gears a little bit, and Max, I know you've got your hand up, but the corruption kind of layers in, so I don't think I'm changing gears that much. The Minnesota.
So what you're saying is you need to build back better.
Yeah, right. But the Minnesota fraud, I think, is what's happening everywhere, and I think in Canada, I've talked about it before, that it's much more taxpayer directly. The taxpayers are funding special interests directly, whereas in Minnesota, you've got people who are starting businesses and Somali people mostly who are taking advantage of this. So it's a different structure. Like the people in Minnesota are committing fraud against the system. They're not in the system. Whereas in Canada, the fraud is in the system and it's directly paying off anybody who understands how to get that payoff.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a statement, and I'll get off here. Right. The APP, they're doing their own constitution. If you look at, if you ever looked at Brad Parody, if you know him, go check out his website. He wrote an awesome constitution, and I think
Bruce Party? Bruce Party?
Yeah, Bruce Party.
Okay,
yeah,
Bruce Party.
yeah. Yeah, his what he's written is just it's a really good idea, and I think we're gonna be using some of his ideas. Yeah, it's the APP they want to scrap everything. Yeah, they want to. Well,
that's the
even
only way to do it. If you don't scrap everything, then you're going to have globalist people with influence.
It's going to be the
pushing
same system.
everything. Yeah, it'll be everything back the way it is now.
Yeah,
which doesn't work, and like it clearly doesn't work. And how much will the Canadian public accept, like, of this broken system that we're being forced to use, even though we didn't vote for it? And Carney's, going off and spending $2.5 billion in Ukraine, didn't vote for that, can't do anything about it.
As long as they still believe they're going to get their free stuff, then they'll accept a lot, right?
It's not
you
free.
need probably 30 more people to die in emergency rooms without getting any attention in Edmonton before anyone does say, wait a minute, things are not great. Yeah. Like, and it's the problem we have now definitely is excessive centralization. A lot, like the province is allowed to micromanage way too many things.
Mm-hmm. True.
That should be local.
Yep. But we're at a situation where even the local bureaucracies, as we've
they're more corrupt. Who
they're
are
worse,
you kidding,
yeah.
man?
They're worse.
They're worse.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and when you were talking before about bringing forward some figurehead to sabotage the Alberta independence movement and stuff like that, it made me think, what would something like that pay? And then what do all these fake right influencers actually get? Like, do they only get their monetization from YouTube, or is someone else like?
People are cheap, man. They get accolades like, oh, you're so pretty and you're so good at what you do. It's like
everyone has a price in media. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's called a thirst trap, I think.
Can I have a quarter?
I mean, Jasmine Lee,
I'll take off the hat.
All the simps.
My gosh, thanks, MC Max.
The goal, gotta reach the goal.
Yeah, right.
I actually want to shift gears and talk about something that I haven't seen, like really anybody in the right wing space talk about, and it's something that happens here in Nova Scotia almost like clockwork. And I don't know if Mill's here and wants to speak about it with me, but just on December 9th, just a few weeks ago, a little before Christmas, we saw it's the start of the seasonal like attack on all the lobster fisheries. So I don't know if anybody has seen that or looked into it, or if Noel's here and wants to like talk a little more about it, because frankly I'm not as educated as I should be on it, just because it's a big rabbit hole to go down. But that's always happening and nobody talks about that. So I don't know if I'm trying to put you on the spot, Noel, but it's definitely interesting that not a lot of people know about.
No, I don't know anything about
it. Like first off, I think in our Christmas season we've lost at least one lobster pound due to fire. But it's sort of a seasonal thing because of the issues between the commercial fishermen and the native fishermen. It's almost like a holiday tradition that, lobster pounds get burnt, boats get burnt. There's a whole thing down here.
It's out west too. It's out west too with the crab traps. They all go missing around Christmas time. What's going on?
It's lobster fishery mobsterism, and but in the same sense with that, what they also do is they try to demonize the whole industry, where 99% of it is upboard and legal. But in the last I don't know 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they've really talked about this area that's southwest Max and I. And
is it Chinese? Is it Chinese influence with all their fleet motilla ocean raping shit?
Hold on, to add more context to this, China's foreign policy is being backed up by commercial fishermen from China who are putting pressure on. Is it the Philippines? Philippines, yeah. So they send all their commercial fishermen in there, and it's like an intimidation thing. So like. Plausible.
So basically, out here, the natives will sell to the Chinese because the Chinese, well, they're indiscriminate. They don't care where they buy it from, and it's on an airplane and it's off to China within 24 hours, right? Yeah. So yes, there's a huge influence from the Chinese market that feeds into the black market of the southwestern shore, Nova Scotia lobster maffery. And CBC has been talking about it a little bit lately because, they
don't go in the weeds about it as much as they should.
Well, the problem is you can only put so many bullets in so many people's houses and not kill people before people are going to start to complain.
But
right?
the Chinese smuggling of arms and everything, and the help through the Mexican cartels through the native reserves in Canada, is just unreal.
Halifax is the port of corruption, and please understand that. Why do you think Carney met Zelensky in Halifax? Because, what were they bringing in? Zelensky needed a cocaine shipment to go back.
There are 3 major ports just in Halifax alone.
But Halifax alone is one of the worst ports. And I know everybody talks about the Port of Vancouver and the Port of Montreal. Okay, yeah, sure. But the reason why they talk about them is because they don't talk about anything about Halifax, because Halifax deals with everything from Africa to Europe. Okay, Port of Vancouver, they deal with all the China stuff. Okay, it's look what's happening over here while this hand plays this.
One thing nobody wants to point out, especially on the right, is that one of Halifax's major ports, in downtown, it's the one near the beginning of the harbor when you first come in. A good chunk of that was bought up by China, and nobody wants to bring that up. And that was big in the news a few years ago, and nobody's
beside our
said anything.
Shipyard too, directly beside our shipyard, military shipyard. Oh, what's China doing there? Oh, they're just shipping lobster, right?
And that connection with the massive military presence that the Canadian Navy has in Halifax alone, not to mention the other military bases such as Aldershot and Greenwood, further in Nova Scotia. It's a massive point of corruption which nobody brings up, which really should be talked about more.
I agree, Max. I totally agree. But even saying that alone, people are like, "Well, what do you mean? Show me proof." Look around.
I'll even say,
don't forget Gagetown, guys. Don't forget Gagetown, right? Gagetown.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, you grew up out here, right? I passed by your old house there the other day.
Yeah, man. 6667 Quinpool Road. Yep.
I passed by it the other day. I thought,
yeah, man,
I got to take a picture of that, but the wife and I were busy. So next time, Steve, next time.
What's beautiful home, man. Circle back to some of the military bases is a lot of the bases down here have very lax check-ins.
Security? What do you mean security? You can walk onto a base out here. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Really? Especially Greenwood. There's no fences even.
Funny story about Greenwood. I'm not going to say what is. I'll go into the full story when we're off the panel, because frankly, I don't want my information to get doxxed because of it. But me and my father went down to Greenwood. We were doing something, and he does something for people. It's completely legal and above board. I'll say that. And they need to go on to Greenwood. And I was amazed by just how lax the security is on Greenwood. It's a complete military town. And you can drive in and out of the base. It's amazing. Amazingly incompetent.
That's wild.
And I was amazed first driving onto it. It's crazy.
There's no fences.
I'll tell you guys the full story afterwards.
There's no fences, man.
Crazy.
When the Freedom Convoy did the Nova Scotia Freedom Convoy, one of our first get-togethers was in Greenwood, and we accidentally made a wrong right turn onto the base, and were able to go through a portion of the base, and then we were directed back and out. But they didn't stop us going in, and here is a convoy of this is back in
what happens if that's Chinese tanks next time?
Great. And you know what, the people on the base supported us immensely, and but yeah, I was dumbfounded because I didn't even realize we had driven onto the base. It was like, what the hell? Anyways, it's not like you see in the movies where you drive onto an American base and you got a guard fence post and all the rest. It'd be more what you'd suspect South Park or The Simpsons to be like. This is a Canadian military base.
I went to Washington. I like American history. I've liked American history for a long, long time. So I went to Washington. I've been to Baltimore. I've been to Boston, been to Philadelphia. I visited the Liberty Bell, visited the White House, visited lots of sites. I visited the place where they sewed the first flag. We went to Gettysburg as well on doing our American history tour, and it was super, super fun. We were at the Pentagon, and we had a visitor's pass. We were allowed to go in just for a tour, the visitors tour, and we went to the White House, and we couldn't go in because it was under construction, but there was like, you could go, there was like a museum outside. Anyway, we did that, and we were going to the Pentagon for our tour. And so you have to walk in under a tunnel, like there's a parking lot kind of, and then you have to walk under a tunnel, and that brings you up, and then you're looking at the Pentagon building, but it's like 2 football fields away, I would say. And then you're basically looking at a parking lot, and then after the parking lot you were just in, and then the Pentagon. And I had my phone out coming out of the tunnel, and I was just going to take a picture of my wife kind of coming out of the tunnel as we were looking at the parking lot. And you know how when you're walking out of a tunnel, the light kind of like, right? Like as you exit the tunnel, the light, the light comes down and you can see. So the second I had my phone, I don't think that I couldn't see him. I certainly couldn't see him. But the second I had my phone up and looking like I was going to take a picture, there was 3 cruisers that had lights blaring, and there was a megaphone or a loudspeaker that said, "Put it down, put it down, put it down." And I was like, I had no idea they were even talking to me. My wife turned around. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, oh, me, right. I was like, sorry. And so we had to talk to them before we even got into the queue to get into the tour. And they were like, you can't do that. And I was like, I was just taking a picture for like my photo book. And they're like, you have to show us that there's no pictures of this on here. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, sure. Well, holy shit. So yeah, it was 2012, I think. And yeah, I didn't even think that they would get upset, because I wasn't even like, we hadn't passed any security checkpoints. It was just a little sign that was like, "Tunnel to the Pentagon." And I was like, that's funny. And I have a picture of that. Nobody had a problem with that. And then on the other side, they were like, "The fuck you say?" And I was like, whoa, what? I honestly thought that like they were coming over to us. I was like, maybe we should turn around. Maybe we should just leave. We're not going to the Pentagon. Cause I thought they were going to arrest us, but they did not. But they came over and they were like very aggressive, and they were like, "Show me your phone." I was like, I'm going to listen to this person. You seem very authoritative, sir. I will do what you say. So yeah, pretty crazy. And so comparing that to a Canadian base, I'm a little surprised. And I've been to, like, I know people in the military, and I've been to Winnipeg. Like, I've been to the Winnipeg military base, and you drive along it, and it's got like barbed wire fencing and stuff. Like, they're pretty serious. There's somebody sitting at an entryway that is controlled somehow. So yeah, that's surprising. Wild.
Well, out here on the Trans-Canada Highway, as you're getting close to Gagetown or Moncton, which is one of our biggest bases, there's a whole bunch of signs every 100 yards or less, 50 yards, whatever, on the fencing that is on either side of the highway, right? And it says, you're entering a training zone. This land is controlled by the Department of Natural Resources and all the rest. I remember one time, just happened to be, lucky. I had to take a pee. I'm driving down the highway in this area. Well, I got out of the vehicle and I left the roadway, which it tells me I'm not supposed to. And I go to the fence line and I take a pee. And I don't know if it was just luck or not, but it wasn't 3 or 4 minutes later, after I got back to my vehicle, I'm driving down the highway and I have a helicopter flying beside me.
Like, huh.
It could have been luck. It could have been, because it was COVID and there's nobody else on the road.
Crazy.
But he flew beside me for like 30 kilometers until we got out of the training zone. So you tell me. So some of our bases, I think that they have sort of locked down pretty good. And, well, some of them, that's just where they ship,
Yeah. Yep.
My water treatment plant behind my house here has better security.
Yeah. Wild. Thanks, Noel and Max. MC.
Well, just going back a bit, I guess, if CBSA ever starts searching incoming ships again, when we ask the Chinese why their container ships are all full of armored fighting vehicles, they'll just tell us they're going to open a dealership.
Yep.
And then Carney will go on TV and talk about all the jobs we're going to have.
Yep.
We can convince them to manufacture some of the armored fighting vehicles in Canada.
Yep.
But going back, just something I wanted to bring up, and then because there's only 3 days left in the year, the Deagle report did not happen. We didn't lose 35% of our population in 2025 as predicted. So I don't know. I think that's good news. I can only surmise that these idiots are way behind schedule, and that's why we're still here.
What was the Deagle report? I don't.
Remember the Deagle report that said that by the end of 2025, Canada was going to be down to like 26 million people or something like that, and the U.S. was going to be down to 250.
This was supposed to be
population around the world.
Yeah.
The vaccine just wasn't effective enough.
It makes me think like they made this evil and horrific, but also like brilliantly thought out plan, and then handed it over to idiots to execute, because these once you figure it out, like it's like everything these people done, someone could come along and just look at it for 5 seconds and point out to you, like if you don't think of it yourself, they can just point out like, oh yeah, I remember, like, yeah, that's stupid. It only takes 2 seconds to debunk anything these guys do anymore. Like they're inept. They couldn't even make a poisonous injection. But
maybe the poisonous injection was built to do something else that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? Like, because there's been turbo cancers and
there's been a lot of death lately.
Issues with pregnancy. And
yes,
there's a replacement going on. And so how do you take out a population but leave all the infrastructure? Are we watching that in real time?
Yeah, and at first I thought that they purposely gave a bunch of people salt water, and then later on I saw information that was more like their quality control on the first 2 shots was just so bad because they didn't stir the vats enough. Then that's why they had to come up with all the boosters, right? Because they were trying to get it right finally. And that also would explain why some people died right in the clinic right after they got the shot, and lots of people were just fine.
Yeah, there certainly is an agenda of some kind going on. There certainly is, like you're saying, that the globalists who are trying to depopulate the world are well behind schedule. But I fear, like to counterpoint, like to bring a counterbalance to your point, the globalists are so in charge that they're bringing in speech controls, free speech, like laws that brand free speech, hate speech, and nobody can stop them. Like, and nobody seems to really want to stop them. So like, sure, they seem idiots, and like, obviously what they're doing is absolutely stupid, except that like, if you try and talk to somebody who's not on this panel, who's even medium interested, they think that Canada committed a genocide against the First Nations. They think that the First Nations have a point about what's going on, and aren't Canadians kind of racist? And it's like, I'm shocked sometimes when I talk to regular people. I'm like, what? Like, no.
But try telling people that our Canadian military came back from those World Games and they all had to be quarantined like 3 months before the
COVID,
flu event.
COVID happened.
Okay.
Hold on, Steve. I don't want.
Did everybody forget that?
Steve, hold on. Sorry. I want MC to finish. Sorry. Carry on, MC.
Yeah. You raised a very interesting point, because most hilarious and ironic of all is that the masses are even stupider.
Yeah. Yeah. They're selling us. What I'm worried about is that they look like idiots, but it's very effective at moving their ideology forward.
Yes, they're not faster than the bear. They're just faster than the masses.
Yeah, right. Well, that's true. But like, we're not going along with it.
You only got to be faster than the slowest person that's being chased by the bear.
But we're not. So like, people like us aren't going along with it. And do you think they need people like us to go along with it?
Well, the worst part, this is where it all falls down, because the people like us are probably 100 times more likely to survive the depopulation than the idiots who are oblivious to it, except that they're going to plan to try and get rid of us. So as long as you can survive long enough, then you've got them severely outnumbered and you win.
Right. But
or do they want us to survive because they want the smartest or the fittest or the people that have our mindset to be able to build it all up from the ashes, because they know those other people can't build nothing.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that doesn't make a lot. Like if they want
Well, yeah. The thing about that is that they have no idea how unbelievably pissed I am about all this. Like I am really, really, really freaking angry. And once we find out who they are, that like
They'll
they're
supply you a boogeyman. Don't you worry. All you gotta
well,
do
you
is
have
ask
to
for one.
torture that boogeyman until he spills the beans, and then go after his
and
boss.
then we'll go after the main villain, the big bad.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't know that it makes sense that they would want us to survive. I feel like the dialing in of the vaccine is more like once they're able to put you in jail, once you're entrapped in the legal system that's obviously fraudulent, then they can put you in jail and say, listen, you're a danger to the population because you haven't had this booster shot. Here's your booster shot.
Okay, that presupposes obedience. I'm not going to jail under any circumstances.
Sure, me either.
Anything,
yeah, but there's a lot of people. But there's a lot of people who would, right?
Yeah, well, those
they're
people
gonna make a situation where they're gonna say you have to go to war against Russia to save our democracy, Slava Ukraine, and then if you don't go to war, they're gonna say that's illegal. You have to go to jail, and people will say yes, that's right. You have to go to jail.
Dying plague,
Yes.
economic zone.
Right.
Those people are drastically lowering their chances of survival, so I'm not going to be one.
Well, does that kick off of civil war, or does that kick off like what happens then? You know what I mean? Because like not that I don't think we're far off. I think we're probably 1 or 2 events off from a declaration of we need meat for the meat grinder, and you're it, Canada. Like we're
like quarter to midnight.
Yeah. I don't think it's far off because, and I'm not saying I don't think it's far off because I want it to be. That's not it. It just feels like somebody was saying all of the UK Christmas shows had military commercials, things like that. They're trying to encourage people like us to go quote fight for England. And there's a whole bunch of British influencers. Sargon of Akkad is one I showed on my show, talking about I'm not going to fight for you. You don't work for us. You don't work for England. You don't work for Britain. I'm not going to go fight for England against Russia because my enemy is in Westminster. My enemy is in London. My enemy is the government.
Maybe they're going to bribe us with the non-vaccinated blood that Canadian Blood Services puts in different vats.
Yeah, who knows?
They put Saving Private Ryan on the freaking Space Channel.
Yeah.
Of course, this is
yeah, right. They're trying to, and they know what works too, right? Like I grew up in the '80s, G.I. Joe, real American hero, right? And
I just want to see, like even like during the COVID. Well, if you looked at all their posters and their advertisements, it was the colors of the Ukrainian flag. Mm-hmm. It'd be the yellow and the blue.
Yep.
A lot of their pamphlets, their posters, and this was before the war, so they were getting us ready for that war. Mm-hmm. And now they're doing the same thing, like you were saying, like the Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
They're just showing military stuff for Christmas.
Yep.
I believe they are. They're going to get us ready to go fight.
Well,
yeah.
When they do that, they don't show the harsh reality of war. Like say a movie like, for example, All Quiet on the Western Front. They don't show that.
Yep. When I was a kid,
they don't show the film or book Johnny Got His Gun. They don't show that one.
Yeah. When I was a kid, it was the early, 1990s and then the early 2000s. And I remember the push in 2000, 2001, 2002. Well, after 2001, after the September 11, 2001, they glorified war like crazy. And they got people so whipped up. I mean, like people who were urging caution, they were saying, listen, weapons of mass destruction, Saddam Hussein's a dictator. If you are not with us, you're against us. You know, we know who the bad guy is and he's in Iraq and we got to go get him there before he comes here. And then they go to import all of Iraq to Minnesota, like Somalia, but same thing, right? Yeah. Like fight them there so we can import them here. What? So they really hate us good.
And a week after they had Saving Private Ryan, they had a whole day of just alien invasion movies. And then,
Project Blue Beam.
Yeah. And aren't yellow and blue the colors of the European Union also?
Yep. Interesting.
And like, I never wanted any of this either, right? This is a thing. We're here now, but none of us wanted this. Like, these people were born rich. They could have went and sat on the beach and had cocktails and bought themselves beautiful women and all, did whatever they wanted for the rest of their lives. And instead they had to come and mess with my society so that I would feel insecure about my future here and the future of my descendants. So yeah, they really shouldn't have done that. Like, when we catch up to them, we are going to catch up to them. If we don't catch up to them in my lifetime, we're going to all be dead. I'm pretty sure about that.
Oh yeah, I think that's true too.
The only way I will go fight to war in Russia is if all the parliamentarians' sons and daughters are on the front line with me, and the parliamentarians are on the front line too. But that ain't happening, so I ain't going.
No,
I ain't going.
Yep. Kathleen Wynne is going to have to go to Ukraine.
I ain't no fortunate son.
Yeah,
ain't no fortunate son.
Doug Ford, Kathleen Wynne. Those two are on the front line before me, and if those two don't go. And even if they do go, that's a big no for me, dog. That's a big no. I'm going to be the worst soldier. I've seen Starship Troopers. Like, this is not happening.
I'm doing my part.
Would you like to know more?
If you want a great laugh, again, we're going to go back to the alien invasion. Go watch Spaceballs.
Spaceballs is
go
good.
revisit Spaceballs, and if you really, really, really need a good laugh, find somebody that has some of those electric mushrooms and have a Spaceball watch. Holy son of a bee! The eyes will split.
They have a Jewish princess.
When I was younger, so I worked in children's mental health, and when I was a kid, we watched. I think Dirty Dancing came out in 1987. In 1987, I was 7 years old, I think. And I'm pretty sure by 1988, Dirty Dancing was a movie that you could rent. And like, we watched it, and we watched Spaceballs. We watched all the movies. I watched Terminator 2 in 1992. I was 11 years old or 12 years old. I was like, I'm too young for this, but it was still great. We watched, what else did we watch? All sorts of crazy movies. And
Predator, probably. Commando.
Predator. Yes. My older brother got Predator. Yes. We watched it in the basement. And then
Madonna's Body of Evidence.
Oh yeah. I watched that at a friend's house. And I was like, this is salacious. And so when I got older, when I started working in children's mental health, I worked weekends, and part of the weekend was like, you're going to go to Blockbuster and you're going to rent a movie. So we're walking through, we wanted to rent one of the big ones, and it wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and there was like 40 copies and all of them were rented already. And we were like, oh, well, it's Friday night. What do you expect? Let's choose something else. Somebody comes up with Spaceballs, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great movie. I remember this from my childhood when I watched this. No problems. It's just like Star Wars. It's fine. And then Spaceballs is very racy, and like there's a whole scene where the last name of one of the pilots is Asshole, and he's like, who's last name? Yeah, here? I'm surrounded by assholes, and I'm sitting there dying. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these kids are like 9,
from
right?
Suck to blow.
Yeah. So funny. It's so funny. And so like we watched Spaceballs, and in true like that era standard, if there was something uncomfortable on the television screen, like if you're sitting there with your parents and there's a sex scene, everybody just sits there uncomfortably and watches it. Like, you're not going to fast forward this through. You're just like,
silence.
Oh God. Oh, this is going on a long time. Oh, okay, check the watch. And back then you didn't have phones. You couldn't do something like that. It wasn't like you couldn't do anything. You're like, oh man, this is.
Are we going to do kitchen table talk movie night? Watch Spaceballs?
We should. That might be fun. Watch Pretty Woman, right? It's like, we're going to fast forward. Yeah.
Hot Fuzz.
Stucky. The Hot Fuzz razor. I think I should show my kids Hot Fuzz, just so, like, listen, yes, the most boring reason is probably the reason, right? Occam's razor. But also the Hot Fuzz razor is, yes, there's a conspiracy and they definitely are trying to kill you. So behave accordingly.
It's not a movie, but like another good show would be like early House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards was good.
Come on, you got to get up there with like Revenge
it's
of the
good
Nerds.
Because Kevin Spacey is an actual bad guy, and he knows how to play a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. Yeah, that's true. I liked season 2. I liked season 2 of that. That was in the 80s. No, too. I remember that one. She was cute. But I liked the second season of Game of Thrones because Tyrion played other people well. and it was a subtle story, but it was a powerful story of how Tyrion was taking control kind of in a underhanded way, and I enjoyed it immensely, and I thought it was well done. So that kind of stuff. Anyway,
I'll tell you what, for like the first kitchen table talk movie night, I'll make everyone here watch the like Lord of the Rings extended editions. How about that?
I went to a movie theater to watch The King Returns, and the end of the movie is like 15 minutes of like it gives Pippin's wrap up, and then it goes dark, and then
long.
It comes back, and it's like by the fourth one, everybody was groaning. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh."
Best trilogy of all time.
People were leaving.
Best trilogy of all time.
What's that Billy Bob Thornton where he's a lawnmower fix-it guy? That one was.
Sling Blade.
Yeah.
Awesome movie.
I want some later.
I had a friend of mine who would do the switchblade thing, and I didn't get it. I was like, "What the hell is he doing?" He's like, "You've never
Sling Blade."
Sling Blade. And he's like, "Have you never seen Sling Blade?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Wow, this must have been awkward then." Like this has been like
Some
weeks,
people call it
weeks
a
of
Kaiser
doing this.
blade. I like to call it a sling blade.
After
I hit somebody over the head with it.
I used to work with a guy that looked and acted just like him.
Oh gosh.
And we're like, this guy is gonna kill somebody or a lot of people one day.
I hope not.
So far, he hasn't.
He's all good.
You know,
all right, that's good.
there's still time.
I have a whole new respect for Billy Bob Thornton after Landman. Landman's been really, really interesting. Good movie, or good show. And what's her face?
Isn't it the guy who also
Larder?
made like Yellowstone's working on that?
I don't know. Ali Larder. That role was made for her. Like holy smoke! I can't even believe. Unbelievable. Okay, MC, and then I gotta call it because then it's after 2:00. We're already done. MC, what's up?
Well, I don't want to see him too negative all the time, but on kind of a contradictory note, the most frustrating movie in the world to watch is Blazing Saddles when it's edited for television.
Oh my god.
They were showing it about 6 or 7 years ago, and they blanked out the N word and all the swear words, and like there's not much left. And you know what the guy was gonna say, and it's just a blank spot. You go like, what? Like it really, like it was good acting. It makes you notice how good the acting was when it was left in, because that word makes the sentence, right? It
ties it all together.
My friend's name is Mongo. Okay, my friend's name is Mongo.
If you want another made-for-TV cut,
just like Fairy Tale in New York.
Die Hard 2 or 3.
It's Die Hard 2.
TV cut.
It's the one. It's the what's heavier, the lead in your ass or the shit in your brains is the real quote.
Yeah.
And they always the something in your brains is different all the time. And I always enjoyed like, what are they going to dub in this year? And I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't reuse the dubs. Like they'd make new dubs. I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's those Alanis Morissette songs where they just blank out the word, right? And you don't really mind. Like you heard it once, okay, that's fine. That was enough, right?
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
But Blazing Saddles, man, it just sucks the life right out of it. It's so bad.
It's just like the Pogues Fairy Tale in New York. There is one line in there that they always try to bleep out, but it makes the song.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good song.
You silly.
Mm-hmm. All right, with that, we've got to say goodbye. Thanks for joining us today, everybody, and hang out in the green room for a minute, everybody. I'll just stop the stream. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you, I think,